So we have some literary legends among us. So I am so happy to be at the Doc Bookshop at this particular time period. If you haven't been to the Doc Bookshop, the Doc Bookshop is one of the largest African-American bookstores in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, in the Texas area. We have been around since 2008. So we, and she has been one of those authors that has been with us along the journey, the ups and downs. She has been around, she has watched us. So we truly appreciate being her good summer on today. If you get a chance, check out all of our upcoming events, and we can talk about that at the end of the conversation. I am going to turn this conversation over to you, and Will. It looks like Donna has a live stream up and going for our online listener that cannot look out text.
Thank you. Thank you. Check. Okay, good. All right. Thank you all for coming out this evening to listen to Michelle and I talk about her latest release. The title, You Can't Hurry Second Chances. I am thrilled and honored to be here beside a true literary legacy. I was getting my feet wet in writing and publishing, and Michelle was already on book 1,000. And was on all the bestsellers list, Essence and what's the newspaper, USA Today, and it was just amazing to know that we had such great talent here in North Texas. And so when we met years ago, her light is just already shining, and it has not decreased any since. So it's an honor to be with you tonight, Michelle, to talk about your latest great work.
Yeah, thank you.
You're so welcome. So before we get into the good stuff, all of it's good. Let's set a little groundwork first.
Certainly.
So tell me about, in just a few words, don't want to give away the whole plot.
Right.
Because it really is a good read.
Thank you.
So yeah, can you describe the book?
So thank you, Ann, from the writer's block. Yep, on the writer's block. It sounds perfect, right? I tell you, I went to one of the writer's block writers conventions. It was like the writer's weekend, and I saw the agenda, and it was like nothing but writing. Oh, this is the type of agenda I need for my. I don't have 57 things to do in one day, so if you really want to write, please read the writer's block. But this particular book, You Can't Hurry Second Chances. I feel like I'm at the church. First of all, pastors and the assistant pastor, the first lady, and the second lady, and all the ladies. Lord as well. Right. And all saints and friends. Everybody. But this particular book, You Can't Hurry Second Chances, is one that I have to tell you. So here's a little bit of tea. The book before this one was a book called Sisters with a Side of Green. That came out with this particular publisher. And that one came out in 2024. And then the next year was supposed to be the second book in that two-book deal. Well, I wrote the second book, but they were like, no, that book, and we ain't publishing that. And I was like, why not? They were like, you got to understand, when you write a book, this is also for the writers too, there's a brand that the publisher is looking for. So that first book, there's cross-generational conversation, there's a lot of food, there's a lot of laughter, there's a lot of all that good stuff. And the other one was like, somebody died. She was like, oh, no, we didn't read that. You never write some other feel-good books, so somebody can make me smile and laugh, so write another one of those. So that's what I did. So if you want to smile and you want to laugh, this one, You Can't Hurry Second Chance, I think is one of those. It is one of the, got the subtitle, A Fresh Start is a Beautiful Thing. As she said earlier, I like to write older characters. I've always been the baby in a group of people that I hang with, and I just like to sit at the feet of the elders and get with them. Now I am an elder. So I feel like I share that in my work as well. This one is one that was near and dear to my heart because I have been going through a lot of recent changes in my own personal life. I've also done some relocating, that kind of thing myself. And it's one thing to do that type of thing when you're 30 or 40. It's different when it's different when you're doing it at 50 or 60. To uproot, whether it be a job or a relationship or just a relocation period. So I really wanted to think through what it would look like to do that, but also to take some time and just go through that moment. Don't hurry that moment. Don't hurry that transition. Let it happen in its own natural speed way so that you can get all the beauty out of that transition.
Yeah, that's great. And as a lady of a certain age, I appreciate that as well. That Erin is in her second season of life, I would say that. So, yeah. So for those of you who have not read the book yet, it is wonderful. I finished the book. As soon as it came in the mail, I started it immediately and truly could not put it down. Again, I think the main character really spoke to me as a woman in her. And so, I'm really curious. I always, being a writer, being around writers, we've got some members of the Writers Block here tonight. And I'm always curious how writers get ideas for their stories. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Definitely. I am always around, like I said, older women who are older than me. And one of the cool things about this one is there's a lot of cooking that goes along with this book. And one way to get around the women who are older than me is to be like, hey, you got a recipe for this? Or can you? I have the best dressing recipe in the family right now. But the person who previously had the best dressing recipe was disappointed that my pen went first. So I got that from a lady at my church at the time. So I'm just saying, like, when I'm around the elders and they give me an opportunity, I just take it. So for this particular book, I have been around a lady who was starting a new job. She actually went back to college at like 62, I want to say, maybe 50 to 62. And there was a point in another one of the first lady who went back to college after her baby finished high school. So she might have been 20-something when she had, and she was 40-something when she went back to school to be able to, she always wanted to be a lawyer. She had stopped and become a teacher, and then she wanted to be a lawyer. And I think I might share a little bit with one of my books, but what she said was she realized it was going to take her 7 years to go to law school. And she was only close to 50, by the time she got done. She said, you know what, those 7 years are gonna go by whether I'm in school or not. So I can look up on my 55th birthday and say, I'm a lawyer. Or I can wake up and say, I wish I was a lawyer. Either way, the Lord says, I'm gonna wake up on my 55th birthday and I'm gonna say something. So you're the boss of what that looks like. So those years are gonna pass by regardless. So when I think about this particular book and the main character and what she's going through in her life, it's like when you wake up on that next birthday, should you get that opportunity, what do you want to say that? What do you want to say? In her case, do you want to be saying, I'm still going through this with him? Or do you
That part.
I'm not getting too much play. I'm not trying to break up what happened home. But what do you want that relationship to look like? A relationship can be revamped. It doesn't have to look like it always looked. If the two people are willing to make that change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
So, yes.
Well, be your own adult children. That relationship has to change.
Hallelujah.
It's not gonna look the same. Once they get out of your pocket, once you push it out your pocket.
Mhm. Absolutely. And speaking of children, that was another thing that I really appreciated about the book, is it not only provided a perspective from an elder, but also you have a parallel story going with a young lady, I believe Deborah, who was in her 20s. And so it was a very interesting read to see how their lives parallel. So can you talk about how you devised that, if you felt like it came about naturally as you were writing the book, or did you already know from the beginning it was going to be a parallel type story as well?
Yes, I did, because the publisher had said, you're gonna write another book with some older people and young people. But I love cross-generational conversations. I work in a school district, I'm around kids all the time, so I love to just hear what comes out of their mouths. They have such a different perspective, I think, than maybe those of us who were raised in previous generations. So the main character, is Joyce. And she's the one who's 60, and she is recently retired, recently moved, recently divorced, all of those things. She moved back into her father's old house. And I'm not giving away any spoilers, this is like the first chapter. She moved into her father's house, thinking that she was going to make it a duplex. Well, then, you know how the old house is. If you know old houses, anything can happen in an old house. She ran out of money on renovation. But that was after she had taken on the tenant. The tenant thought they were in their own separate kitchen. But that's not, they ended up having to share a kitchen because she ran out of money. She couldn't divide the kitchen in half the time before Gabriella got there. Gabriella is an up and coming, she calls herself a blacksmith. She's black and mixed. That's her heritage, right? So, and she's also a cook. She's an up and coming kind of chef. So she needs that kitchen and all the tools and all the right, because she wants the pots hanging down, all the things that a real cook would want. Well, that ain't happening. So we ran out of money, right? So I wanted to have this. If you read Sisters Without Bears, we have Koresha and the two sisters arguing over there, and Koresha has his own different perspective. And the same thing happens between Joyce and Gabriella. One of my favorite scenes between them is Gabriella's on her way. Again, this is very early in the book. She's on her way. She's like, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. Well, you know, that's right. When she gets there, she'll be there. And Joyce is like, well, it's getting dark. Well, I mean, it's still today. So, how is this the problem? I've had that own conversation with my daughter, and I realize it has to do with how she perceives time differently than me. Now, I grew up in a time when if your mom said, I'm going to pick you up at 10 o'clock, right here outside of Six Flags, my pole number 2.
Yeah, that's what you think.
At 9:30, you need to start walking to it. You look at that line, you see that line, I can't get in that line, no. You might get on the scanner, but you're not getting on the shop there. Because you're not, you best to be at pole number 2. At 10 o'clock, or we're gonna have problems, right? That's not how my daughter grew up. She's grown up with text messaging, so it's like, I'll text you like, hey. I'm just like, well, what's not going to be? What okay? But I need to be, I mean, are you doing something? No, I just want to know what time I need to start turning on my car. I'll let you know. I mean, we just don't agree on that thing. Like, she's like, you need to just agree with it, mama. And I'm like, I need to know what time. So, but I know it's because she has not grown up at a time where you couldn't call your mom and say, I'm gonna be late. She couldn't call you exactly like you had to be where you're supposed to be. And so that's just a technological generational difference that is not wrong or right either way. But that's the type of stuff that you're gonna run into between Joyce and Gabrielle.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you did a great job of that contrast and comparison in the, throughout the book. It was really great to see how they played off each other and expose those generational differences.
Yes, that's what they are, just differences.
Yes, yes. But the technology played a good part too, but we'll save that for a
Okay, say that one.
The other thing that Gabriella and Joyce were dealing with is they both have reached the last straw. You know, we have heard the saying, the straw that broke the camel's back. You know, the last straw, you're dancing on my last nerve. How were those, the last straws for both women, how were they same but yet different? Continuing that theme of same but different.
I think they've kind of got this idea for both of them. You know, and you can go along doing something for so long, then just let one day come. And you just be like, yeah, this is the last time I'm going to do that. Like, I know I did this for 27 years, or I did this for 12 years. I did it just yesterday. Today and every day forward, it's just gonna be different. And I think that for both of them, I think that's kind of the same thing and the different thing. The same part about it is that both they reach that point. But what's different is Gabriella reaches it much sooner than Joyce would have. And she gets to do that because Joyce shares her wisdom as a woman, as a woman who's been around the block for a long, long time, for much longer than she has, to say, you have a choice. You can decide that you want to do this for 30 years and then decide not to, or to make a change or whatever that looks like, or you can decide, you know, I don't have to get to the bottom before I make a change. You know, you can decide on the way down not to get all the way to the bottom.
Right.
I mean, I think about Alice in Wonderland, she was trying to catch something before she gets to the bottom. But I'm just thinking like, you know, I think that's kind of a misconception that you have to get to your, some people may have to get to the bottom before they can see. But I always try to stop myself. I don't break the fall. Break the fall with the wisdom for my own self. Let me look at my faith. Where can I find some help before I get to the bottom? Because I don't want to see it. And I saw somebody else go through it. I read their biography and I don't want to do it.
Exactly.
I try to read. That's one reason why I love to read, because I want to know what other people have been through. And I can learn from that. And I'll be like, I sure hate that happened to you.
Thank you for sharing.
I will learn from your mistakes. I will read a biography in a minute for that person. I started reading when I was like 25, and they were like all the greats. I was just like, yes, I don't have to go through that.
Yeah,
And I hope that's what Joyce was doing with Gabrielle.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I really, again, just love the friendship that they developed and the way that they helped each other out and helped each other over these really rough periods that they were going through this transition. You know, you talk about reaching the bottom. There's something internally, I think, that has to give or has to morph somehow.
Right.
And-
Mechanism, a switch almost.
Yes, yes. So can you talk about that for both those women? The internal change that happened?
Yeah, I think for Gabriella, she had this fear that she had ever since she was like in middle school. I don't want to go into too much, but she had this fear from middle school. And I think it came down to a person almost speaking into her and saying, you don't have to go through that again. Like that, I don't know that she would have gotten to that by herself without Joyce speaking those words into her. And I think we need that sometimes. Sometimes you don't see what's going on. Sometimes you don't see how great things are already. Until someone comes along and says, you know, everybody can do it. I remember I was somewhere playing a tambourine at church. And somebody said, everybody can't play the tambourine. I thought everybody could play the tambourine. Because I mean, my whole family played the tambourine. That's all my family did was stay at the church, but I'm just saying. I thought that everybody could, but until that person said that, they were like, this is a gift. You need to recognize this. It's an instrument of praise. Like, she gave me a whole book on the history of the praise of the tambourine. And I did not know that that was even a thing. So all that to say, sometimes people know more than you do about something that simple. And I think in this case, Joyce knows more about relationships and how you want to set it up from the beginning. Because she walked down that road. And she's able to give her that switch, turn that switch on her in her life long before that. And then when it comes to Joyce, Gabriella is looking at her and saying, I'm going to need you to recognize that there are people here to help you. See, Joyce is Gen X. I can think of when the Gen X starts. Somebody Google it. When the Gen X starts? I know I'm Gen X. 68, 65. What the Boomers is?
65. 65 is 1965.
All right, Boomer 10 is 55, so 66, so what would we like, 80 something, 81, 82, I don't know, but Gen X folks,
61.
all right, 61.
61.
We are of the figure it out generation. Like, you just need to figure it out, don't be talking, just go over there and get it together, what's your problem? Fix it. Why are we talking? You know, we're that key. Go home, fix your food, don't let nobody in the house. And you know, you just figured it out. That wasn't always the best way. Some of them didn't make it because we were trying to figure it out, you know what I mean? And, you know, there was nobody there to help us and that kind of thing. Gabriella is like, look, you need to start asking people for help. You need to start reaching out. You need to figure out where your community is. 'Cause you're wasting time doing everything by yourself. There's a wealth of wisdom and community that you're not availing yourself to. And so I think for a Gen X person like me and like Joyce, that's news, because we just did it all. I remember when I first worked at a place where I had an admin assistant. I didn't know how to ask somebody to help me. I had been a teacher the whole time. When you're a teacher, you make all your own copies. Like, I didn't even know I was supposed to be given can you make these copies? It didn't even occur to me to ask someone with the title of assistant to assist me. I didn't even know how to ask them. It never occurred to me to think about what can I ask someone to help me do? Because I was so used to doing it. I think Joyce is in that same generation. So they're both kind of there for each other to teach these lessons around, hey, I've been down this road, but also you should have been down the road by yourself. Maybe if you ask me help, it might not have been so hard.
Well, so, but the thing about that is, in the Black community in particular, we're told that what goes on in the house stays in the house.
Right.
And you don't share secrets, and you don't, talk outside of our four walls.
Yeah.
But how do you overcome that? Because I agree with you and look, that community plays a role in helping us to to walk through these transitions. But how do you balance that when you have grown up with those type of statements?
I've been around people who do that well. I know some very good delegators. Like if you ever work on a committee with them, they're like, okay, it's so call so she can do that, call him, he can do that. Like, I learned from being around people who are strong delegators. That's been really intentional. Like if I'm on a committee, I don't have to be on a committee where you already know you're gonna be doing all of it. You already know from the beginning. But if I know I'm working with, if I've watched people and how they move, I have to just watch. I'm a people watcher. I like to see how they move so that I can learn how to delegate, how to get so much done. And when you find people like that, you're gonna find somebody who actually can delegate well.
That's good. Okay. So one of the other themes that you cover in the book is about divorce. And you mentioned earlier that Joyce divorced her husband after X number of years of marriage and just decided, I'm going to put myself as number one.
Right.
I'm just curious about the impact of divorce on adult children, because she had two, a boy and girl, adult children at the time of the divorce. And we always hear about divorce in relation to young kids and making sure that they are protected and that they have the counseling and services they need. But we don't hear much about adult children and divorce. So I thought that was an interesting thing, but I just wondered about that.
So I am the product of two divorced parents. My parents were married 26 years before the divorce. So Amanda Under was married to my biological father and then divorced, and then she remarried when I was 4. They were married for 26 years. And then I was a young woman married at that time, by the time she and my stepfather divorced. Well, he's really my dad. I rarely refer to him, but then I'm just naming who he is for the sake of the story. He really is my dad. So I remember it hitting me. I will say this: it did not surprise me. Definitely, they were divorced. Like so it didn't surprise me. What did surprise me, as an adult person in this situation, was how my mother and I didn't see their marriage the same way at all. She saw their marriage one way, and I saw it a different way. And I remember when she asked me one day to come, they were getting out the house, they were getting ready to sell the house. And she said, what do you want out of the house? And I said, nothing. Like, I'm grown, I already have my own house, I have my own kids, like everything I wanted, I've already taken. And it really, maybe she didn't even know, but I already taken it, right? You know, how many kids come to take this stuff. But I realized I didn't mean that to sound crass when I said it to her, but it really hurt her feelings that I didn't want a memento of our household and where we grew up. But again, we had very different, views about what that was like. And then my brother felt very differently. He was heartbroken around, the divorce and that kind of thing. So I think one of the things that came out of that for me, just as a young woman at that time, was to just be intentional around what it is that I want any season of my marriage to look like. And to learn from their situation, like what are the things that we might want to address, what are some things we don't want to address. And then at the end of the day, it came down to my mother needing to start over just like he was. Like she was probably, I don't know, late 50s and going through some health issues and that kind of thing. What's it look like to do that? Like watching her go through that made me a stronger person. Seeing my mother say, you know, I'm gonna have to take a couple of extra shifts and that kind of thing. Their finances had always been, my dad was the breadwinner. And she was, I laughed at her, I was like, you might bring home a cruise time, you ain't brought the bread home. The bread she had, we spent it all, I'm telling you, we spent it all, okay? But now her money was the bread. And so that was a hard transition for her to go from my money's extra money to now my money's the money that pays the bills. So, but watching her do that over the years definitely strengthened me as a woman as well.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna leave some time for y'all, I promise. So I just had some thoughts as I was reading, so I wanted to share those. So one of the statements that really stuck with me, as I was reading the book, it's actually on page 299. There's a statement that says, sometimes the hardest truths are the ones that set us free. That's deep, y'all. So, and that's the kind of reading that if you haven't read the book, you're going to be exposed to throughout the entire book. But I wonder if you can talk about that a little bit, because that one really stuck with me.
Absolutely. It's funny, when you sent me that, because we talked a little bit about I was like, who?
Right, ladies, right.
It's cool. When you write something and you don't read it for weeks or months. Every time I tell y'all, I'll come back to the question, but every single time I write a book, so this is like 60-something times at this point, right? About 3/4 of the way through, I go, this book is terrible. And I'm writing, I'm like, this is too sad. I'm gonna start over. Like every single book. I say that to myself, I almost talk myself out of finishing it. Everything, it has never failed that happens. And then I might put it away, if I have enough time, I'll put it away for like a week, and then I'll start writing really fast on this other book that's gonna be better than that book. And then I'll be like, I ain't got time. So then I'll go back to the original book, and I'll start reading, I'll be like, this is good. And it was terrible. Like, so if there's a writer in the house, or if there's somebody who has talked themselves out of the thing that they have started.
Shut up.
I just want to encourage you to put it aside for a second, go back and look at it with some fresh eyes, and you may see it differently. And even once it's published, you may still be like, even now, I'm scared to read this book. If I were to start reading it right now, I would see she was sleepy, and I would want to go, oh, I should change that to drowsy. Drowsy would have been way better than sleepy. Like, this is the torture that I put myself through. But this is why I have to listen to the audio in any of my books. Because it might not sound exactly the way it sounded in my head. So there's just so many ways to talk yourself out of your dream.
Yeah.
That's good.
You just let that run through you. There are so many ways to let yourself talk yourself out of your dream. And I'm asking you to just finish it. You don't even have to like it. Just finish it and you can fix it later. Don't be married to your first draft because it's not gonna work out.
Show 9.
Just date it. All right.
Baby.
Date the first draft and you would not be married to that. All right. We got all the writers on the front row looking at you. People on the front row doing this, like you're in church. Did you hear what he said? The word is for you. Every time you show up, all right. So, let's go back to this. Sometimes the hardest truths are the ones that set us free. I feel like that is one of those lines that just kind of came to me as I was writing it. But I do believe it's true. Like, the thing that is the hardest, the thing that you fear the most, the thing that is keeping you up late at night is often that very thing that if you just address it, however you address it, whether you're going to address it through prayer, whether you're going to address it through action, whether you're going to make that phone call, like that be the very thing that gets you to that next level. And I think both Joyce and Gabriella, that's really late in the book, they're going to come to that. But until you get to that, just hold it for yourself. All right? All right, I feel like amen.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you for that.
Well, you already addressed, I'm sorry, were you finished with that? That's some good stuff.
Okay, I feel like I should be like James Brown and throw my little cape on.
Okay.
Yes.
You mentioned at the top of the talk, about, the cooking and the food and the kitchen. And, your book did make me hungry. Because there's, it did, now the recipes alone is worth, buying the book for, but I mean, the story is great too, but. I was surprised, but also just over the moon pleased that a lot of Gabriella, who is a chef, her inspiration for her recipes came from the Green Book. So I wonder if you can talk about how we were inspired to weave that bit of history into the story.
Definitely. So Gabriella and Joyce are talking. They both come from two different backgrounds, two different journeys. Their journey, their ancestors' journey. And when it came to Gabriella and her kind of Blaxican cooking, in the Green Book, I watched the movie, The Green Book. Have you seen the movie?
Yes.
It was a really good movie. And I remember talking with a friend of mine around those recipes, the pound cake, you know, the fried chicken recipes. Those are some good solid recipes. But I didn't realize that a lot of that came from this idea of not being able to stop and pull over for a long, long time. So, or even if you did, you just went to the restroom, you weren't going to be eating at a restaurant. So you had to pack things that traveled well. And so that's how a lot of our staples as African Americans came to be. And you have Gabriella, who is part African American and part Mexican, who also has the story of her family coming over. And she shared one in particular of a journey. I won't go into it too deep, but how one of her ancestors came over and how they were just trying to make sure they made it here alive. And some of the things that they would have also packed, recognizing there's a lot of water on their journey. And so the recipes that passed down to her are also part of the journey of her ancestors. And so we can kind of see those two winding up in her Blaxican food that she makes. It's just a celebration of all the journeys that people have gone through in this country. To make it here, to stay here, to travel here.
That's really a beautiful thing about everybody's culture is that there's always the food element. And in so many cultures, the foods are used or interspersed, and you know, that's the great thing about being part of the world community.
Right.
Thank you for writing that aspect.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun research as well. I learned a lot about my history, about Gabriella's history as well.
Well, and that's one of the questions I wanted to ask you is what were your learnings? What did you learn for yourself in writing this book?
So, my biggest lesson I can't talk about because that'll be a spoiler, but I will say this. And this kind of came from another book that I read. It's, what is the name of that book? It's about this girl, she's a single mom, and somebody makes one phone call, and she's under investigation for a child, with child protective services. And it should not have happened that way. It's just a person who's observing, and maybe they meant well. I mean, we are encouraged, of course, to report things that we see and things that we suspect, obviously. So it's not that that person did anything wrong, but she found herself under investigation. And something along that line happens with Joyce, and so I had to start researching stuff, because I'm like, wait a minute, I'm getting on up there myself with Joyce, what is this, he's hurt me, and all this, that kind of thing, so. There was kind of some legal work that I had to learn to write this book, and to make it more realistic, and really just grow in my own understanding of what does it mean to age? What does it mean to hit a certain age, and now people assume something about you? They assume you don't know how to do this. They might start talking real slow because you're getting older. It's great. Or loudly because you're getting older. Or they just give you gifts that you're like, why would you think I would want this? Or in the case of my own kids, they're like, what would you be doing? Aren't you going to be home? Well, what else would you be doing? It's like you're being at home. So, right, I actually do have a life that doesn't involve you. I remember one time my daughter, she just had this idea that I guess she thought I was Superwoman. And she was in college and she had this dance. And she, Mom, I was like, I can't come because I had, what was it, frozen shoulder syndrome. It was a mess. But I told her, I don't know if I'm going to make it because I have physical therapy for my frozen shoulder. I think she thought I was making it up. Frozen shoulder, some of the icy butt sheets. Frozen shoulder syndrome. So I didn't go to the games like an hour and a half away. She called me, why didn't you come? I told you I have frozen shoulder syndrome, and I went to therapy. And she was like, you're never sick. I don't understand why you're not here. I said, you don't think I'm a human being. You obviously don't think I'm human if you think I can't get sick. I mean, thankfully that hasn't been her experience with me. I usually do show up, but I realized in that moment that she doesn't recognize that I'm a person outside of being her mother who's always been there. Thankfully, I've had good health, so it just hit me that she doesn't see me that way. And so when I think about Joyce and I think about her own daughter and her own son and them not recognizing that she also has a life. Imagine that. I think that's where Joyce finds herself, where systems and people and assumptions are trying to drive her life.
Well, thank you, Michelle, for writing this book. Thank you for sharing it with the world, and thank you for spotlighting our generation. Appreciate it.
And thank you for hosting too.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. There was no way I was going to say that. But I just want to give you all an opportunity to ask any questions or make any comments that you might have for Michelle, either about the book, the writing process, publishing, what's next. So does anybody have a question or comment?
We have a banner.
Okay, you are now.
I have listened to the book.
Thank you, Miss. First of all, I'm just honored Mr. Rogers is in the house. I
Thoroughly enjoyed it. And I like when she had her bridal shower and Miss Emma gave her this book and there's something in there that she told her about the husband. You know, when you first get married, it's all love and passion and all that. But in this book, she was warning her that something that would happen down the line, and her mother referred to that later. So does that book really exist, or that was just wise?
think I just made that look good.
You have to write.
I'll make up some stuff. But I will tell you that this is not even an answer to that question. But I'm the answer to that question. I don't have that book. I actually wrote it into a Mama P book, but it still wasn't a book, so it's just a main book I've been writing about for years. But I remember when I got married, I was so nervous that day. And one of my aunties, she's like, what are you nervous for? You can, I said, because I'm getting nervous. I was trying to divorce in 2 years, ain't a problem. I said, really? She was like, yeah, I ain't that serious. I got something to her, and I did. But I do think that particular book is not a real book. I make up stuff a lot because I don't, especially like cities and settings. When you write a book and you say they met at the corner of First and Main every Tuesday at Susie's bakery shop, that may be here right now, but it may not be here 5 years from now. So that the people who read the book from that city, it ain't even there no more, this book is old. You know, that kind of thing. So I will make up titles and I do put my own little piece of wisdom in there, but that book wasn't real.
And then one follow-up question. I like the comment that the grandson made about Elijah, yeah, that he made about how nobody wanted to be with his grandfather, and that he had to be.
Yes, yes, thank you. So yes,
Yeah.
the grandfather, and so I don't want to give too much away, but he was like, it's not the same that Gigi's house was Gigi and her.
All right, no questions?
Any other questions?
Okay, well, now.
I don't mean that. I don't mean it, not to be offensive. Oh, they're recording? Okay. But I just, I talk loud, I don't mean to be offensive.
You can do that as a professional jazz singer. We get that, yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, so I have two questions if it's okay. One is, what do you think about using AI to write, or do you use it? And the other question is, do you base your stories on life experiences, or do you just create things? And you kind of answered that a minute ago, that you kind of make things up. Because I know, well, I'm a new writer, okay? And I might create something, and somebody might say, that's not real, and I'm thinking, well, can I just, I want to, do it have to be real? I know it's fiction. If it's fiction, you can make that thing up. Oh, I'm good about that. I would make up a whole city, and a whole college, and a whole everything, if I can. I mean, I write realistic fiction, but a lot of times I met with, who wrote King River, Lolita Savage. Historical fiction, love. So I met her once, and I was like, I want to write historical fiction, but I don't want to do research. I don't do it. So if I'm gonna be, when I write my fiction, it's realistic, but if I know I'm not gonna get it down and get it right, I don't do it. So if I'm gonna say somebody was born on March 2nd, 1973, and it was a Tuesday, it better be a Tuesday. Because somebody goes, that's my mother's birthday, she was born on Friday, she right on the right on the, you know, that's how I go. And then they don't write a bad review, because it was not a Tuesday, you know, in 1973. So do you get called on it? Like,
They might give me a 1-star review just based on that level.
and I'm guessing over the years you've gotten tough skin. My skin is not tough yet.
Okay. You don't even read all the reviews. I was gonna have a friend read them, maybe they can feel tricky, but when I first started, I could not take, I was a 4th grade, I couldn't take people couldn't read ink on my So I sure can't take bad reviews, but over the years. But I mean, I'll lean and sometimes somebody will say, well, this happened, I'm like, oh, that was really important. Yeah, I did change your name 3 times, I didn't do it. But generally, I don't read a lot of them. I don't really have time to read them all, honestly. But yeah, just make it up. I stay around with it. And as far as AI goes, I've always been the type of writer who always had some type of something to help me, whether it's the electronic thesaurus or a whole list of ways to say it. I mean, at some level, that's artificial intelligence as well. There are times, I think when I wrote this, AI had just come out and it was too cheesy. to play around. It's better now. I haven't written anything since it came out, like for real. But I imagine even when I did it before AI, I would get ready to write a restaurant. See, I don't like skinny reading. I just want to get to the dialogue. And I don't really care that she had a long red dress and the wind was blowing. Even as a reader, I would skip that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to know that. So,
That's a script.
unless it matters, it's not, I have her in, you know, a spaghetti strap, that says something about how she goes out in public, you know, that kind of thing, that just is a characterization thing. But if it's just the wind was blowing and steadily breathing, it doesn't have to do with the plot, I don't really care. So what I have always done in the past is I will highlight that and say, put this that in here later. And I'll keep on going, because that will mess me up. I was spending weeks trying to figure that one little line out, and I don't have time for that. And then I'll be somewhere at a library and be like, that looks like, this kind of looks like that scene. Let me just take a few notes from this place right here, and I'll drop it in later. Or I might just go online and look at a house for sale, and look at how they describe that house. Oh, I'll put that in my book, because this was like that kind of house. Like, so I've always, the things I never wanted to do, I've always looked at, and I myself. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to do the dialogue. And that kind of came from writing the movie too. That made me a dialogue queen. So I'm just saying, like, as a writer, I think it's important to develop your craft, know what you're good at and what you're not good at. I personally think it's going to be important in the future to disclose to the extent that you've used AI. But if you follow the money, there's going to be a whole lot of AI.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And I have not read the book, but I very much look forward to it. But I definitely appreciate the concept of topic of transition and change. And I remember my mother's era, when we were a certain age, was sort of, trying to push off past a little bit, right? But as we're living longer, as we have careers extend longer, we have multiple roles, we still have to advocate for ourselves to have, a seat at the table or make our own tables. But I'm very good about change. I love change. So again, I project, I think everybody's comfortable in it. But I have to bring others along if they want to change, right?
Right.
And so I'm very quick to diagnose, this is the way that you should change because trust me, you'll be happier. And one of the things that I think that I could add that when people will say to me, whether it's their work situation or their marriage or, at any part of their lives, and they'll say, but it's the devil I know. And I'm like, right, but it's the devil. It's the devil. And so I appreciate the concept of change. And again, I'm looking at something that you were highlighting, women in our second act or third act, because we have a lot to contribute. So thanks for that. Thank you so much.
Here.
I think Shalana had one in her back, and I don't know if there were others. Oh, that was my daughter, my granddaughter. Either one.
Go ahead, Alex.
So I love Sister Wood Saturdays, and I'm sure it was, just because, I'm in that age now. Like, I'm getting up in that age. And I know that a lot of readers or bookies that I read with are always saying, what books do you know, older, we want older romance, we want, older like dating, for us now, that's been cool. So do you look to, you see yourself writing any of age romance? I know Sister was, that was a genre, story, this one is divorce, but do you see anything, in romance and
Thank you for asking that. I definitely can see myself writing older characters. So my first book came out in 2004. So it's been a minute that I've been writing, and my audience has been growing along with me. I don't know that I can write a young romance anymore, because I would be like, you didn't test me. You test me? I couldn't write the young one.
Right.
Because if he texts me, and it's too late. Like, well, that might be okay for the young folks, but that's not gonna be okay for me. So it wouldn't even make sense if I wrote it. Because this is stuff I'm getting put up with technologically, right? So, and my mindset is still genetics. So I'm definitely gonna have to write older romance, because otherwise we'll get bad reviews.
Yes.
So I don't understand why she broke up with me,
Okay, hey Michelle, you were one of the premier authors in contemporary African American Christian fiction when you started out 40 plus years ago. So what point does, or what part does faith, spirituality, Christianity, religion have in this novel?
So,
I read it yet, that's why I'm asking.
okay, thank you for that. And so what's so funny about this book Let me back up. This is the second book of the source books deal with them. So the first book, Sisters Without Dreams, there was a character who was a church-going woman. It was women's fiction. But the bad reviews that I got were like, this is too Christian. So I guess they thought that particular character's belief played too much of a part, but it was part of the character in that book. I didn't think that one was heavily Christian fiction, but I haven't heard from people as to whether they felt like this one was more or less faith than not. It was marketed and created as women's fiction. But there's always, even when I write, if I can show you the outline for this book now, one of the first questions in my outline that I ask myself, because of who I am and because of my faith, is where is Jesus in this story? So even if I never said Jesus, he's going to be there in the hope and the redemption, this idea of starting over and having faith in this idea that you can move forward. So Joyce is not overtly, I wouldn't say she's overt, she might say a prayer too, I can't remember. But that is a question that I, being one of faith, always ask myself. Even the person book that got rejected, there was still hope in that one as well. I think that's a part of my calling just as a writer, to give people hope, but to give people faith, to move on to the next step. Thank you for that. Oh, and Shawanda would know, this is Dr. Shawanda O'Reilly. She did her dissertation on the canon of African American Christian fiction, just so you know. And through her study, Reed, Victoria Christopher Murray, and Sharon Ewell Foster, all those of us who started off in the early 2000s with Christian fiction. Is that my student? Oh, that girl. Oh, that girl.
I was about to say, I know her as Amazing Stimpson, not her shit. I was one of her former students, and so, sorry, I was making conversation, but I just want to give you a quick update. I'm very with kids, and I was looking at activities for my babies that come in here, and I saw your name, and I was like, I put it in my calendar, and one of her first, I'm glad you brought up the Christian novels. She gave me one of the first ones. I want to say, Boaz Brown was the
That was my very
fifth grade English teacher, and she gave me, she didn't give it to me, she didn't read Boaz Brown. Did you keep it up? I didn't. And I will say, Divas of the Master's Rose, I sure did. And it's crazy because at that time, I was an avid reader. Like I like to read, and she gave me, she allowed me to read the books. And I haven't read in a while. And so when I started, I was so eager and so excited to read this book, just to give me back this book. I heard it was going to be amazing. And I already put some other of your books in my cart. So it's good to see you. So excited. I do appreciate that you continue to write with the Texas setting, because so many people, so many writers tend to write from an East Coast perspective, and they never get those mainstream writers to deal with Texas story. So I truly appreciate that. I do want to ask you, you've written over almost 60 books. Has there been a character, and you might have already answered it, but has it been the character that said, oh, it's so good, I'm going to bring it forward into this new book that's, you know, just that great of a character or great of a scene that you brought it forward into this age?
All right, so let me back up to the first statement that you made about putting stuff in Texas. I put stuff in Texas. I don't want to research. I mean, when you do it someplace else, you got to kind of slow. And I don't know about snowmobiles. And they don't keep going to school in the snow up there. So, you know, that kind of thing. But thank you for that. I love the Texas. I love the Southern dialect. There's something to the women who come before me that's here that I just love about that whole dialect and all the things. Okay, what's this?
About the character.
Oh my gosh, yes. The one character that everybody loves is Mama B.
Mm.
So Mama B is an indie series that I started in 2012. And there's 11 books in that series because she is an older, wiser, she starts off, I think, in the first book at 72 years old. And just sitting at the feet of the elders. Mom B is a widow, but somebody has his eye on her. But the funny thing is, Mama B has 11 books in like 15 years, and there's not a month that goes by that somebody doesn't say, "Hey, you gonna write another Mama B book?" I get scared to go online and post up. That's good, Laura, you writing a Mama B book, right? I've been places and people don't even know my name. They just say, "You write Mama B?" They don't even know who I am. So if you love this type of writing, and I started writing her in my 40s, but I actually worked on Mama B right now. So. And like, really? You gotta write that. So, hey, it's just gonna be our last question.
All right.
So I want to say first, I have so many intersections with your characters in this book. I haven't read it, but I'm Afro-Latina. My parents divorced at 39, after 39 years. I'm coming into my 50s, so all of it, so I already know where I'm going. So thank you for writing. But my question to you, and you probably get this question a lot, is of all your 60 books, like which one is your favorite? I know it's hard to.
The I have genres. My favorite romance, for real, is still Boaz Brown. Baby, that's my baby, my first baby. You know something about your first baby. No offense to nothing. But there is something about your first book that you just put your whole foot in because you just don't know if you're going to get another shot. And so that one is probably still, some words are pretty good on the romance too. But Mama B number 8 is probably my favorite Mama B. Mama B number 8 is my favorite. Out of these two are in my brain, they're very, very similar. But I like these older characters that are living their lives, like seeing life from that perspective, and still interacting with the youngers. Like they haven't like on permanent on it, they're still interacting. Gosh, there's so many. I've written lots of other authors that I've enjoyed as well. Yeah, I'm gonna stop because this is a lot.
It's kind of hard. It's like picking your favorite kid.
Right, like picking your favorite child.
So, give yourselves a hand for participating.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate you coming out and book clubs and co-workers and other writing clubs and fellow authors. I appreciate y'all all being here.
Yes, I think you have something special for people.
I do.
Yeah.
All right, so I have 2 prizes. The first one's gonna be to the person who drove the furthest to come here today. No, she might drove an hour. Where did you drive from?
From Wiley.
Why?
An hour and 23 minutes.
Hour and 23 minutes. All right.
Can you beat that, Shawanda? Excuse me, doctor. Oh,
All right, so I'm gonna give you a choice because you're the first winner between the Sisters with Sour Greens and this one. Okay, this is called Cochran, which
That's right.
so a lot of the authors all know each other out this way, and Kathy worked on this for probably 10 years. Patsy, she worked on this book.
She was here a long time.
It was a long time coming. So if you want to like first book inspiration in the summer of 1970 in the small town of Lowell, Mississippi, 10-year-old baby kind of lives in a constant fear of a piece of flour. And his mother, and all the things. Murder, it's all kind of good stuff in this one. So, but we all support each other.
Oh, that's awesome.
One of those.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a picture and talk.
All right. All right. And the second, so our cop will go to the person who is I was gonna say the most senior person amongst us, but that'll be hard. That person might not want to come forward. I don't know, because I love the seniors and the elders in the house. So you believe that you are the senior.
She said she'll come.
All right, she's gonna come forward. All right, she's coming forward. She's coming forward too. I just love that.
Okay.
They backing it out right now.
She's no child. I'm 75.
81.
Go for it.
86.
I think you like that. And it is so good. All right, anybody want to say? All right, let's go now. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Yes, Catherine is an awesome. All right, I'm making you all again. I'm gonna turn it back over. I'm turning back over to the hands. On the books for. Give it up for his count. This was a amazing conversation. You know, we do have to take our selfies. We do have to take our selfies. I've got already picture of everybody that showed up. We just want to be able to, you know, I share my pictures. I share my experience. I share what, you know, Texas readers